Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Another one. I started on the Cosmo brakes. We're on the front brakes today, so give you an idea of what we're doing. I am running a R35 GTR wheels on the car, so they're a 20-inch diameter, I think they were. Yeah, 20-inch diameter. So we've got a Porsche Brembo caliper 6-piston, and I've got a Mercedes GLC 63. It's an SUV type thing. Front rotor's like 395mm diameter, 36.5mm thick. So quite a large rotor. This Porsche 6-piston caliper. It was off like one of the SUV things. It'll come to me in a minute. Anyway, it's huge. That's what she said. So yeah, I've got the factory Cosmo brakes off, and I thought I'll start the video off there and have a look at the size comparison between what we've got and what we're putting on. Alright, so there's the rotors. Hard to believe that was a front rotor off a JC Cosmo, and that's the rotor that's now going on. Offset wise, very similar. So that works out well when you get these rotors, and generally the large diameter rotors are going to be a smaller offset purely because of the weight. They're quite heavy. You can imagine if this rotor was, you know, like a 85mm tall versus the 44, I think it is. There's a lot of weight there in that diameter, and it also means they can be hard to fit with the control arm sitting here, tie rod ends, etc. They're all out in this area here. So when you've got really large diameter rotors, often the steering and lower control arm gets in the way. So this one works out alright. It clears. So this Mercedes rotor was actually a rotor we had for another job, which was Chev stud pattern. Hence why the holes have been slotted. Factory, it would have fitted. They're a 14mm stud and 5 on 112, I think they were, and we had to go to 5 on 114 to suit the Cosmo. And so rather than throw that one away, I mean, it's a $500 rotor, so it's $1,000 for a pair of rotors. They've been sitting on the shelf. That's bit of money to throw away, so thankfully we're able to use these on the Cosmo. So yeah, there's a comparison of the size between the two rotors. There's the brake caliper in comparison. Quite a big caliper. Now with this caliper being a radial mount caliper, it sometimes makes it a lot easier for mounting when you've got lug mount. Usually your bolt centers can sort of clash if you've got an ear where you're mounting to, say on the Cosmo one, which was, say it's here and I had lugs there, then you're mucking around with offsets trying to get them to fit. They become quite difficult. So being a radial mount, it means that I can slide the caliper around. Now we've got some 7075 aluminium here, so I should have enough there to do two caliper mounts. They should be pretty straightforward. It'll bolt to the lugs, or it'll bolt to the lugs on the knuckle of the Cosmo sideways, and then being radial mount, I'll have 2 bolts, which will, once this is drilled and tapped, which will bolt onto there. I'll put this in the mill and I'll square that up, and we'll get started on making some brackets.
A few moments later.
Okay, there's one done. Now I just need to copy paste, make that happen again. Before I do that, I'll actually bolt this up on the car, bolt the caliper up, see how it all looks. Alright, so that is it bolted on. Got a little bit tricky up in this area here. Just had to machine that out to go around the stub axle. We also had to just take a little bit of the excess off. That bulge was actually quite prominent around there. but there's still plenty of material there for the bolt to go through securely. Alright, it's actually looking pretty good. Bolts line up, so that's a good start. I haven't got the anti-rattle springs in there, I just got some pads in there to see how we've gone for center. We're pretty close. Get this button down tight. Okay, so that is on and tight. That's our brake upgrade. Should pull up quite well. Now we'll get onto the other side and get that knocked over. One thing I do need to do, we'll probably use that hole, countersink it, might get 2 more there, then that will bolt the disc to the hub, so it's not just relying on the clamp from the nut, mainly just to stop that. It sits on the center spigot, it'll just keep that in place when you do have the wheel off. Alright, so that's what the wheel looks like on there. We've got plenty of room, caliper clearance on the spoke, which is good. Quite like these wheels, they're magnesium, very light wheel. Not that it really matters, car weighs 10 tons. But we'll get rid of this Nissan, print up a Mazda badge to go in there. I think they'll look really good on here. So you can see the caliper fits in there quite well. We've got a lot of room. You don't have to worry about the caliper bottoming in anywhere up against the upper or lower control arm on full lock. We've got plenty of room for clearance on the tie rod end and the lower control arm. Hope you can see that. Plenty of room in there. It's funny, on the Cosmo you can actually get a wider wheel on the front than you can the back. Plenty of room up in these things. So that's one done. Let's get into the other one. And that's it, 2 from 2. So there's the fronts done. I might call that a day today, and tomorrow night we'll look at the back, see how we go with those. Okay, so this is the JC Cosmo rotor, and that is the Mitsubishi Evo 10 Lancer rotor. Now the difference between them is the rotor's thicker, it's also a much larger diameter. Stud pattern is the same, center bore is different. This one is 72mm, this one is 80mm. So what we'll have to do is make a hub ring which will go on the stub axle of the Cosmo, which will locate this, but I'll also machine a step lip into it, so it'll be a hub-centric locator for the rear wheel as well. Flip them over. Internal handbrake drum, same size. No modifications required there. Stud pattern, same bolt pattern. So that's a bolt on. You can see the offset is within 1 millimeter. So these are a pretty good fit for your Cosmo. It's just going to be a caliper bracket that needs to be made. Speaking of calipers, that was the Evo brake caliper. That's what I had intended to use. However, I did find some Aston Martin DB9 4-piston Brembos, and being a radial mount, these are going to be not too bad as far as mounting. The bolt centers are very similar to what the Cosmo was. The Cosmo bolt centers sit in here, so it's literally just going to be an angle plate which will bolt to the rear knuckle. An angle which will come up, it'll be drilled and tapped with a, looks like 12mm stud which will come through and locate the caliper. So I think they should work pretty well. Okay, so I've got a bit of 90mm 6061 alloy. I'll use this to turn up the little sleeves that I need. It doesn't matter whether we do it out of aluminium or out of steel. They're literally just a locator. They're not something that's going to be hammered by the rotor moving or anything. It is just a locator. So these will be a shrink fit onto the hub and turned the OD so that it's a slip fit for the brake rotor to locate on.
2 minutes later.
Okay, so we've got our hub locator rings made. Turn that down and board them. Now, at the moment, these will not fit over the stub axle. They're 1/1000th undersize on that bore, so I'll need to heat these with a torch so that expands and then shrinks on. And if we check, it just slides through there. Alright, so that they will locate on this ring, which is shrink fit onto the Cosmo hub. That will make sure that this runs true. Now, I was going to do these with a step down so they located the wheel as well, but after checking the wheel, it only has a 62mm bore in the wheel. This is 80, ID on that is 70.5. So what I'll actually have to do is put the wheel up in the mill and bore that to suit, so it'll locate on the hub itself. Okay, so on the rear, I've cut the dust shield off because the rotor diameter is greater than what it was, so obviously it's going to hit. What we'll do is these bolt centers, zoom out. So the bolt centers here and here is 165mm. The bolt center on the Maserati caliper is 185. So what I'll have is I'll get a bit of 7075 and machine it so that it comes down in here and sits on that, and then our caliper mounts will be drilled and tapped just on the outside of that rear knuckle mount, or caliper mount on that rear knuckle. And that's how we'll go about mounting that caliper on that rotor. Alright, so I go to put this ring on here now. I've just got a taper on the inside there, radius, just so any crud that I couldn't get off that face isn't going to interfere with its fitment. So you can see that physically does not go over there. Now I could get a hammer and make a little dolly up and beat it like a red-headed stepchild. It probably would then go on, but it also wouldn't work. It'd be all bruised up, etc. And then the rotor wouldn't locate on it. So I'll get the little butane torch, I'll heat that up, and that'll slide on there nicely. And that's it. That's on there. Didn't take much heat at all because it is so thin. There's not a lot of material there. It cools very quickly, so you have to act very quickly because the temperature of the hub itself sucks the heat out quite quickly. Now that is stuck. That's definitely not going to move. Yeah, it's back to cold already. Okay, for our caliper mounts, we've got some material left over from the front caliper mounts. This is longer than what I require. Thickness, I'll just quickly buzz that one down to make sure we're parallel and square, and I should be able to get them out of that. So what we'll do is we'll put it back up in the mill. I'll square that one up, get it parallel, and what we're going to end up with is basically a notch out of here. It'll probably come down as far as there, come up, it'll bolt through the original caliper bracket will go through, and this will bolt to it, so this will be drilled and tapped that way, then will be drilled and tapped vertically for the caliper to bolt down onto this. That's why we need it to be 90 degrees. They're the three faces that are important. That one, not so much. Most of that'll get cut away and scalloped out.
hour later.
Okay, so what we've ended up here is basically an angle section now. The point being that this face here will sit up against where the caliper used to mount on the hub, on the knuckle I should say, and we'll now mark that, drill and tap it, and this face here will have a stud goes through that the caliper can now mount to. So let's go see if it fits. Okay, so we've got that out of the mill. That's predominantly how it's going to sit. So it sits in behind where the dust backing plate, whatever you want to call it, for the handbrake. Now I have overlooked one thing. Whilst it looks like I've got enough material there, unfortunately I don't. The caliper mount hole is just on the edge of that, so I've underestimated what I need there, and we've got two more pieces there. So unfortunately that's probably an hour and a half wasted, so I need to get busy and get these ones done. That's just how it goes when you do custom stuff. It is shoot from the hip, hope for the best, and sometimes you get it bang on the first times, other times you've missed something and you just have to do it again. But it is what it is. We'll get these ones machined up and these will be fine, I'm sure. Okay, so here's our new one machined up. We sit that up in there. I've got a lot more room for the caliper mount. It needs a flat face to sit on, obviously, and some of that will get cut back. I'll probably notch out, scallop out in here just to get some weight out, but looks like this one will be a success. Okay, so we've got the caliper mount on, brake rotor's on. Now what I'll do is centralise the caliper on here, and we'll just use a spotting punch to mark the holes down there. Then they'll get drilled and tapped and they'll be our caliper mount done. I can then whittle off any extra material, maybe save some weight, make it look a bit racy, a bit fancy, make it look like someone actually cared, and then that'll be done, and we'll just make another one. Alright, so that's the caliper mount done. As you can see, we've got quite a bit of excess material in here, so I'll probably machine that back there and then maybe just hollow out this in here. Could probably put maybe something in there just to make it look a little bit fancy, make it a little bit lighter, and that's it. One rear caliper mount. It weighs bugger all. I'd probably say about somewhere between 500 and 750 grams. Super light, super strong, 7075 aluminium. It may as well be steel. Definitely up to the task. And that is it. We've got two rear calipers done. I guess now pull these back off, give them a blast. Have to get them powder coated red. Red means it's a race car, means it's fast. So yeah, that's them done. I'll move on to something else now. Alright, so there's the rear calipers on, a bit of lipstick on them. They're no longer that Martin guys, they're mine. They bolt on pretty simple bolt up, and the good thing is the factory brake line is actually going to go straight in there. It's got a small peg, stud, locating tab, whatever you want to call it. It locates in the back of that caliper, so brake-wise, we're done now. I'll start ripping everything apart, and we'll get the engine out and get the engine bay painted. Alright, we've just got our delivery of Haltech stuff. So we've got a UC10 dash, we've got an 8-button keypad, we've got an R5 Nexus, PD16, wiring harnesses, a couple of sensors. So it is full steam ahead now. I've got to definitely get this engine out quickly, paint the engine bay and get it back in and assembled, so John can start getting this thing wired up. The really good thing about this is the PD16 is going to make the wiring side of it a hell of a lot cleaner and a lot easier than trying to resurrect the old UNOS wiring system. It's going to allow us to upgrade some stuff as well. The UC10 dash is going to eliminate all the problems that the Cosmo is plagued with as far as its digital dash display. It's 30 odd years old now, or 35 years old maybe. So its lifespan is up. If it is working, it's going to be plagued with problems, and it probably won't be working for too much longer. So the UC10 is going to fix that, so that's great. The keypad, that'll allow us to add things like traction control. I can put in a couple of different modes as far as boost. I can, with the power steering, I can slow the speed down or up the speed of the power steering pump to make it lighter or heavier, depending on what's more comfortable. The R5 obviously is just going to control the engine. It does have a PD built into it. So yeah, it's going to make light work of all this, and it's going to be a big help to getting this thing completed in time and get us to summernats. Well, engine's out. Started rubbing the engine bay. Underneath the car got a really good blast. So that come out really good actually. A lot of that road grime and stuff just came straight off. So yeah, I think that's going to that'll do it for this one. I need to keep rubbing that engine bay, and I'll under body spray under here, make it look a little more presentable. Alright, so that's going to do it for this video. There's plenty for me to get done. Yeah, so I need to get stuck into it. Good thing is all the Haltech stuff's here, as I showed, and I need to have the engine bay painted. Today's Tuesday. I need to have the engine bay painted and engine back in the car by Monday, so John can start wiring. So yeah, plenty to do. We've got, I think we're just into the 46 or 47 days now to have it all done. So yeah, lots to do, not a lot of time. It's going to be head down, ass up. So yeah, I'll keep you updated on the next one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.